Good evening, everyone. Hey, it's Gina with Transformative Healing. Thank you this evening for being here. If you're new, just want to welcome you. I know I probably don't have very many on. I said I wasn't really going to go live until first it was 8:30, but I was in the middle of watching another live, and so I reposted and said 9 o'clock. So, um, I'm just going to wait for a few people to hop on, get off the other live that I was in, and just kind of come in. So as you're coming in, welcome. Um, you know, how's your week been? How are things going? And things like that too. Are you guys getting ready for the holiday? How's the holiday coming for you? Christmas will be coming before we know it, and so welcome. Um, Hi, Scott, and so thank you for being here. It was good to see you over at the other the other live. Now you're in here. I appreciate you. So. If you're new, welcome. Make sure that you hit the like and subscribe. I go live every Monday. I'm going to start changing the time. I'm probably going to start doing my lives maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see what happens, and things like that. So we'll just kind of see and kind of go from there. But leading up to Christmas, I actually was planning on speaking about good things because the holidays are very tough for all of us. But a few days ago, my 7-year-old came to me and she's like, Mom, I'm being bullied at school again. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me, although I probably said a different word. I try to keep it, GPG when we're in here. And I just, it just brought back so many emotions, so many memories, so many feelings of, anger, sadness, just disgust because as a mom, as a trauma survivor, what she was telling me is the same things that I experienced when I was a child. I wasn't bullied as young as she is or was. My bullying started when I was probably in 5th grade, I believe. But that was the reason for the topic that I chose, for for tonight, because I just feel it's appropriate. It's something fresh. It's something that a lot of people, in one way, shape, or form, we are bullied. Whether we're, trauma survivors because our trauma is not seen, it's all in. A lot of it is internal. Hi, Michael. Thank you for being here. So then we become bullied because you can't see the trauma because physically you could never tell that I had trauma, but you hang around with me enough and you'll be able to tell. And I'm sure the people in the chat can tell you because they've been here long enough to know some of the characteristics of the after effects of the trauma I endured. And so, last year, just kind of give you a tidbit of what happened. So last year, my daughter was bullied in kindergarten. There was a girl that would hit her, would punch her, hit her on the private parts. Thank you for being here. Equilibrium Echoes, I believe, is that Alyssa, I believe, is who that is. I had to look at the picture for a second. I was like, yes, I think that's who it is. And so last year, again, she was bullied. Her bully would punch her, kick her, punch her in the stomach, tell her she was fat, she was stupid, she was stinky. And so this went on almost the entire year. And I was just so upset. So I would go in the school. I would say to the school, look, like, you need to do something. I would say to the teacher, I would say to the school, like, there's something going on in that child's home. And that's all right. I'm just glad that you're here. I appreciate you being here. It just took me a minute. I said, oh, I know who that is. So anyway, long story short, went in, the teacher had, talked to the teacher. Nothing was getting done. My husband will probably pop in here pretty soon, whether he comes in the live with me or he's in the chat. But I finally, went and said to the principal, look, this is not getting any better. My daughter doesn't want to go to school. She's not fat. She's not stinky. She's not ugly. Another thing she was bullied for was the way she dressed. She wanted to wear dresses. She loves wearing dresses. And so she'd wear dresses all the time. Well, then the girl would say something to her about her wearing dresses. All right, hon. And so it was me, my husband, the principal and the teacher, we all sat and we had this conference. And the principal kept telling me, it's boundaries, it's boundaries, it's boundaries. And I said, this is not a boundary issue. This is an issue that the girl is seeing things at home and she's mimicking what's taking place. So either, the dad is doing it to the mom, the boyfriend's doing it to the mom or dad's doing it to her. She's seeing it somewhere. She's mimicking what's happening in her home. And so now when she gets angry, she knows what to do. It's a pattern. This is where intergenerational trauma comes in. It's a pattern that's formed that we continue. So what happened is when this girl would become angry, my daughter just so happened to be in the surrounding area, and so she would bully her. When I told the principal that no, this was not a boundary issue, she was like, yes, it is. And I said, look, with my life experiences, with my education, I may not have a doctorate, but let me tell you, the life experiences and the education that I have probably is close to it. Just because I don't have that degree doesn't mean that I'm stupid and don't know what I'm talking about. And so here we are again, year 2, and she's bullied. And so this time she's bullied because the kids in first grade are calling her fat and calling her stinky, and she's by far not fat and she's not stinky by any means. But it's just heartbreaking, and here's why. It's because these kids, what most people don't understand, and again, if you're new, let me just kind of share a little bit. I am a mental health professional, but I am a trauma survivor, and I do everything that I can in my power to make sure that I understand the after effects of trauma. What ends up happening when people bully. Where's it? You just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to bully people. It just does not happen. It doesn't happen whatsoever. It's a trait that is mimicked. There's a pattern that's there. It's something that has been, that happens. Usually you're seeing it, whether it's social media, at home, something you're seeing it. And so anyway, for this little girl, it was never said what ended up happening. But after I seen her mom, and things like that, it started making sense to me, or I just get this discernment, and it started making sense. And I started connecting the dots that this little girl was probably seeing things that were inappropriate in her own home. And so now she, kids don't know how to express anger appropriately if it's not, Scott said evening, cuz if it's not something that is a positive reinforcement. And so again, it's happening. Here's year 2. I just feel like at this point, it's kind of worthless to go to the school because they don't know the trauma training that we have, the trauma informed training that we have. And so what makes a bully is it's usually because they lack self-love. It's something that's mimicked, and they are hurting. So hurt people. And so basically what they want to do is they want to inflict their pain onto somebody else because they want somebody else to experience what they're experiencing. A lot of these children, a lot of these kids, even the same with adults, they don't have positive reinforcement. They don't have positive outlets, positive people around them to help them deal with their situations in a positive way. And so what they do is they start bullying. Well, I'm the mama bear that you messed with the wrong chick, especially when it comes to my kids, because I'll rip your head off. I'm one that I usually, I'm not here. I can't even call myself reserved because you piss me off and it's on like Donkey Kong. I say that all the time. I will be your biggest cheerleader, your best friend. But one thing don't ever do is backstab me and piss me off, because I will be your worst enemy. And that's not being revengeful. That's just being very realistic. I've just learned that my kids are my everything. And if I'm not the one watching out for them, then who's going to be? Because if my kids ever bully, you better believe they will be taken care of like yesterday. I don't tolerate that. I see how it's destroying my daughter. It brings back a lot of things for me because I was bullied. Like I said, my bullying started in 5th grade. And I'll never forget, my bullying started with a kid that I liked. And it was funny because back then I was thinking about doing a video about this too, but I was thin. I was like fifth grade. I don't know, like maybe in a girl size 10. That's like maybe a little bit bigger than that. But anyway, I wasn't very big at all. Probably less than half the size I am now. But because I rode my bike a lot, and because I walked a lot, and because I was just, I was always climbing trees. I was a tomboy back then, but I was always climbing trees. I was always doing something. And so, thick thighs save lives. And so I've always had thick thighs. And so I remember in fifth grade, I wore shorts, and this kid said to me, you have no reason to wear shorts. Your legs are too fat. And it just crushed me, absolutely crushed me. And I did not wear shorts for probably, I don't even know. It was a very long time. So that was fifth grade. I know it was until after I got out of high school. And so words hurt, whether we are an adult, whether we're a child. I'm very proud of my daughter for coming in and saying something to me and saying, Mom, this is happening again. These kids are saying this to me. Because I've taught them, if somebody's bullying you or if somebody's saying something to you, I don't want you to go through this by yourself. Pre-healing of my trauma, I probably wouldn't even have recognized it. Been like, oh yeah, okay, you're bullying. Yeah, I would have said something, but now I know more. And so it sits with me a little bit differently because I know what it did to me. I mean, like I said, I didn't wear shorts. I still don't like wearing shorts. And because I am always very self-conscious about what I look like. And then it was, there's just been, and then, there was people throughout my life that have bullied me and things like that too. And so it's just unfortunate, but again, it goes back to self-love. They want to, they're self-sabotaging themselves. And so hurt people. And I know that's not right. So I put these on here, but I was talking. And so, even Scott said, was bullied when I was young, have no room in my life for them. Absolutely. And so my heart hurts because one of my bullies has passed, but then I was like, oh, that's karma. Then I'm like, oh, Gina, that's not a very nice Christian thing to say, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I mean, I've learned to forgive them. I've learned to move on. And I'm, matter of fact, both of them, the kid that actually, it's ironic. Both of them died of drug overdoses the same year. And just within a couple months of each other, they both passed away. And so I've learned to forgive them, but, looking back at certain things and stuff like that, and looking back that hurt people, was it right? Absolutely not. And so some of the things that I've told my daughter is, is pray for them. And, and we pray for them and things like that too. But how do you get the school to change? Like, how do you get, families to say, hey, you know what, maybe this is what's going on. Instead of constantly closing the door and say, oh, it's not us, it's not us, it's not us. When will a parent take accountability and responsibility for their actions of their child and say, exactly. I mean, I agree with you. Like, when? Because it's in that moment when you finally realize, instead of getting all angry and stupefied, when you finally say, you know what, my child is capable of bullying, guess what happens? That's when you realize that bullying, it can be stopped. What are they watching? What are they listening to? I'm a huge advocate when it comes to mental health for teens, even for little kids. Because it's huge. It's huge. But parents are so quick to think, oh, my child would never do that. Oh, my child would never say that. Really? And no. And that's exactly what it is too. Too many parents don't think any of the children they have will bully. I would never. That is being naive and just plain out. I don't want to say stupid, but in a way, stupid. Because even as a mother, I know that my children have the capability of being bullies. if it was instilled in our home and we were horrible parents and they seen things that we mimicked, absolutely they would act out. That's exactly what bullying is. It's acting out. And so when you go to the school, what do? Oh, well, we're going to do this, this, and this. Well, what happens when it's later? What happens when they're teenagers and they go to school and they go tell on their bully? Then what happens? What happens? They get beat up in the bathroom. They get swirlies in the toilet. I don't know about if you heard. I'm sure some of you or most of you have heard today. There was another school shooting in Wisconsin. I don't know the backstory, but these are all things that happen. And these are all kids that were either, a lot of them were bullied. And so, they weren't given a chance and they were bullied. And so they're acting out. Why do you think why do you think mental health in teens or in children and teens is at an all around high right now? Social media. This is why. Not only is it bullying, but a lot of these kids look at all the stuff going on social media and they think it's real. Oh, do you see the Joneses? Because, everybody's always trying to keep up with the Joneses. Hey, do you see the Joneses over there? They're millionaires. Look at the house. Look at the car. Oh, their kids dress in designer clothing. They drive these nice cars. Whatever. I know I said that again, but,
fancy jewelry.
All this stuff. But guess what? You don't know what happens in that home. And it's always somebody trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's a fake facade. Kids' brains are not developed to understand logically any of that. And so when they're looking at social media and they see all that stuff, that's what they want, but it's all fake. I could paint a beautiful picture of our family and I could show you all the good and I could give you this fake facade of what our family is and have you believe in that our relationship is amazing and everything. No relationship is perfect, but and
amazing.
Yeah. But
remember, I'm married. I have to agree.
I should throw my water at you. But that's what it boils down to. These kids don't understand that these types of things are fake when it comes to keeping up with other people. Oh, I want a PS5. Well, you know what? You might have gotten a PS4 because that's all you could afford. But now you're the worst parent because you didn't come through for them. When in fact, they don't understand that you do everything for them throughout the year. And you know what? And you did everything that you could. But then they're looking at the Joneses over here that they have 6 PS5s and they have a huge screen, like a projector screen that they're playing on. That's, the size of the friggin' movie theater. So hello, that's what kids don't understand. They don't understand at all. Because they can't comprehend that. They have nothing. Scott, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to find it.
Now come lay in the bed with him, Scott. No homo.
You just want your money. Well, speaking of that, it's funny that you say that because off topic, there was a story a couple years ago about, a homeless person. And I think it was actually in Massachusetts and they had passed away. And my heart goes out to a lot of them. A lot of them do have mental health issues. It's all right, Scott. That was a good one. A lot of mental health issues. A lot of them are war veterans. And so, which, they should be taken care of. And so what ends up happening is, obviously they end up drinking and doing things because that's their way of coping. And so they really have nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. Maybe family has shut them out. And so anyway, this guy, had been sleeping on a mattress in an alleyway and he passed away. And people would donate money to him and everything like that. And he just continued to sleep outside. When he died and they went to move his mattress, they found that money fell out of it. They counted $2.5 million that was shoved in his mattress. But do you see, even though he had the money and the means to do things, in his mind, he couldn't. He wasn't capable to look at how much money I have and I can change. because he felt like he was broken and damaged and probably wasn't good enough to change. And so that's exactly what happens in the life of a bully. They bully to make themselves feel good because they're hurting. They want to inflict that pain onto somebody else. But that was a good one, Scott. That was a good one. So I had to share that mattress story because it is like, think about it. I mean, can you imagine? So now nobody hide your money in your mattress. Hide it in your freezer instead.
Still trying to teach my youngest daughter to live this way.
Let them.
If you can see that real well, it's a let them with a little antidote at the end. That's the way I live my life. I don't care what people think about me. They have no bearing on me. So
Yep.
You don't have to like me. That's fine. You know, save your liking and loving for somebody else. You know, you don't have to waste it on me because it's not necessary, because I like me and I love me. Took me a long time to realize that. And once I finally did, everybody else going by the wayside. I don't need you.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a lack. Again, once you start learning to love yourself, and it starts changing things, starts changing who you are. And so I want her to be able to love herself the way she is. And so, you know, this is another thing. As a recovering perfectionist, this is something that I have. If you remember, we had Amy on here with Dr. J a couple weeks ago. And one of the things that stuck out to me, what Amy said was, I give the kids directions, but I let them do what they want. I don't show them a picture. I don't do anything because it's up to them. I want them to be able to use their voice and choice and to be able to create the masterpiece that they want. I don't want them to say, oh, here's a snowman. Make your snowman according to what this picture looks like. And I sat back and I said, you know, how many times have I done that with my kids and said, oh, no, that's not perfect. You need to redo it over. And I caught myself yesterday. My daughter, I asked her, I said, hey, Alexandria, can you draw or can you do something? Absolutely, Scott, it is. It is about learning, you know, self over others. Absolutely, it is. So I said to her, hey, can you make I was going to say birthday. Can you make a Christmas card for your bus driver? And so she made a Christmas card. And I looked at it and I said, oh, dear golly, like this is the stupidest thing ever. And I caught myself in the midst of it. I caught myself. I said, Gina, what are you doing? Like, she's 7. She loves that card. If I told her that card was stupid, I would have broke her heart. So see, now I'm sounding like a bully, ain't I? But I caught myself before I said something. And I almost said to her, you need to redo the card over. Why? Why should I have made her do the card over? Who was I trying to please? Me. When in fact, she loved the card. She loved it. And so I said, you know what? Okay. I didn't say anything to her. I just said, okay. At first I said, you got to do the card over. But then I caught myself. And then I said to her, you know what, Alex, your card is actually beautiful. We will give that to Miss Sarah tomorrow. But how many times, think about it, how many times have you done that in your life? That you may be a perfectionist, and that perfectionist shines through in other areas, and where you try to do things and it kind of rubs off on your kids. Because thinking about it, like if I wouldn't have caught myself, like thinking about it, I'm like, man, I've done that a lot to her. I've done it a lot. Like she did we got to talk about this because I mean, it goes back to she's star student, which I don't think she'll be star student until we come back from the holiday break. But nonetheless, she came home Friday with her star student. And
but she didn't listen to directions.
Well, she did not listen to directions. But why I'm telling you this is because it starts with us. Change starts with us. My kids have been through hell and back with the trauma that we've both endured. And so it's on this healing journey of recovery, on this healing journey of healing, it's learning to identify. And so as I'm identifying my own perfectionism, I'm recovering from perfection, because there are still bits and pieces of the perfection that are there that I'm slowly starting to unwind, unravel, and get rid of. And so with my kids, I see it more like, oh, it's got to be perfect. No, it's got to be my way. No, that's them. And so Friday she come home and she was star student. She was all excited. And I said, look, Alex, on Saturday after Nick's game, I will sit down with you and we will do your star student. Whatever you do, don't touch it. Let me help you. I wouldn't have done any coloring. The only thing I would have helped her do is I would have helped her spell all of the names like correctly and not use pink to where you couldn't see it. You know, we would have used probably pen or pencil or whatever. So we get up Saturday morning and good old Alex has her star student all filled out. And so she's writing all this stuff on there, and it was a mess, an absolute disaster. And I was like, oh dear golly, this is just a mess.
But the directions was to have a family member or family members participate in it. You know, so it's a family thing that she gets to do, you know, not just all by herself. It's meant to be a family member to help your mom, your sister, your brother, your dad, you know, grandma, grandpa, whoever, someone to do it with you. You know, she don't like following directions.
She doesn't. She's a little defiant.
Yeah.
And
Severely.
so, you know, I finally told her, I said, if I'm going to message your teacher, but your teacher may take, you know, one of your pennies away or whatever it is and stuff like that. There's consequences for things like that. You know, and I felt bad saying that to her, but it's following directions and trying to get her to understand that there's things. Did we get heated? Yes. Did we say, we did. Alex, you didn't follow directions like this. We needed you to follow directions because you can't turn this in. Could we have allowed her to turn it in? Yeah, we could have, but you couldn't see anything on it. That's the reason that we needed to redo it over.
So, light pastel pink and some kind of light pastel
I think it was
green,
like a blue or whatever. But that was why. And so why I'm telling you this is because we identify areas in our life that we have changed and areas in our life that we are changing. The old us, there would have been probably more the consequences would have been different. Maybe we would have yelled more. I don't know, because I'm a yeller. I know Charles is a yeller. We try not to be. And so those are things that we're trying to change, and things like that. But it's changing. It's identifying that it's not them, it's us. We are the parents and identifying, oh, they just didn't get this way overnight. Like when they watch parents, that's where the patterns come in. And so you have to try to break those cycles. You have to try to break that intergenerational trauma, break all of those patterns, those negative patterns that they see. And so I was proud of myself because in the moment of when she did that with her, the bus driver, the Christmas card, I was like, yeah, as much as it bugged me, I was like, I have to look at it through the lens of a 7-year-old. That card to her is perfect. And so looking at your own family, looking and saying, you know what, my child could potentially be a bully, instead of being so blind and what's the word? Blind and ignorant. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh. Sorry.
Ignorant of the situation.
Ignorant of the situation, going, oh, my child could never be a bully. So now it comes into the other side of it. What do you do when your child is being bullied? Well, as much as we told our children, if you're being bullied,
whack them,
beat them up. But see, the school will teach them there's consequences if you hit. Yes, you're right. But I will deal with my child. It's either I'm coming in the school, I'm going to deal with that other child, or you hit that child and I'll deal with the school later. Because I don't believe in hitting by any means. But if it's to the point that a child doesn't want to go to school, over and over and over again, every single morning, screaming and crying that they hate school, and the school is doing nothing to separate them, nothing to work on the situation, nothing to enroll in any type of intervention, prevention, the school is failing our children. I blame the school. That's exactly who it is. We have a school that's 20 minutes from us, Wapak. We have a school there. And the programs that they have done are absolutely amazing. They have resources available to the students when they're bullied. They have intervention, prevention. They have all kinds of things there because bullying can lead to other things. I don't want my child to do other things, and I don't want anybody else's child to do anything else. But how do you get a parent to identify that their child's bullying? They may never, because they don't see the problem. When you're in the problem, when you're in the box, they don't see anything because it's us looking into the box going, hey, yeah, we see you. It's when they're outside of the box. And I use that analogy a lot with my clients. You know, the reason that when you are estranged from your family, the reason your family are the black sheep, you know, or you're the scapegoat from your family, the reason being is because your family's in the box, you're on the outside looking in, you're the one that has changed, they have not. So to them, you're the outcast. You're the outcast. And so it's going in and saying, okay, what can we do at the school? What can we do at the school level? You can go to the school board. Yeah, you might get somewhere with the school board. But, you know, what realistically can you do? And then it's, oh, well, oh, the child did this, or the bully does this, and then, and then the child revenges back and says something. Then it's the child's fault for opening their mouth. It's a double-edged sword, because what do? I don't like to teach my kids to fight, but you know what? In this day and age, sometimes you have to, and it's sad. It's sad because how else? When it's the education and they're supposed to be safe at school, what happens? I mean, how do you worry? Lakin, I think that's how you say your name. If you're still here, what grade is did you say your daughter? Niece? Just curious what grade he or she is in, if you're still here. First. Okay. So the same grade as my daughter. Did this start last? Okay, she. Is this the first year? Or is this something that's been going on? Okay. It's just one of those things that I may have to sit and come up with like a protocol plan or something like that, and really go and talk to the school, coming from the trauma side of things, and really since the beginning of the year. Okay. And really coming in, and is it kids in her, like, is it kids in the first grade that are bullying, or is it other grades? Just curious. Because like with our daughter, it's not any kids in her class, but it's other kids in the first grade class. Okay. And so it goes back. It goes back to, identifying. A lot of people don't understand is that, intergenerational trauma is a real thing. The girl in her class. Okay. Her name doesn't begin with a D by chance, does it? I'll have to message you afterwards, but I'm just kind of curious. Oh, does it end in a Y? I'm just curious. Yes, yep. So if it's who I'm thinking of, it's the same girl that bullied my Alexandria. You and I will talk. We'll talk off here. We'll talk a little bit privately. And if it's the same, this is the girl that. Oh, geez. So
Just saying.
Yep. It went on the entire year.
You don't have to answer that. I already know.
But Oh, yeah, and that's not good either. Mm-mm-mm. And see, and that's what happens when these types of things start happening. What ends up taking place is that uh, kids, the thing that people don't understand is that kids at a young age, they shouldn't even have anxiety. They should even know anxiety exists. You know, they should not. When kids are as young as kindergarten, first grade, getting diagnosed, yeah, we're going to talk because we'll talk more because uh, that situation's going to have me fuming if it's the same girl that we had issues with the entire year. And now I just lost my train of thought because that just gets my blood boiling
Tell
because
your daughter to give one of them right in the mouth.
just get so the anxiety. So kids, they haven't. What ends up happening is then kids are diagnosed with anxiety, then they're diagnosed with depression, then they're diagnosed with ADHD, and guess what happens? ADHD. I'm not a doctor. I got to say this before I say any of this because I'm not a medical doctor. I can't, like treat, cure, diagnose, all of that good stuff. That's not what I do. But the research, education, everything that I've done comes back to saying this. Not all the time is the case, but ADHD in kids, most of the time is an after effect of some sort of trauma. And it doesn't just have to be childhood trauma. It could be like bullying. And so what ADHD is having like anxiety in adults. And so ADHD is the hyperactivity. And so think about it. Think about when you have anxiety, what happens? You have fight or flight, your heart starts palpitating, your hands get sweaty, and what do you want to do? You either want to run, do something, whatever. That's pretty much what it is. It's kind of like ADHD is like anxiety in kids. And so what they want to do is they want to start medicating kids at an early age. They want to start medicating. Oh, we're going to put you on this. And meanwhile, a lot of these medicines are not approved for children under the age of 7 or 8. I've learned a lot since my 19-year-old son. We had, when he was diagnosed with Asperger's and oppositional defiant disorder and a couple things. I've really, and then going through my own healing recovery, I've really learned a lot. And so I, as myself, I don't like big pharma. That's just me. Absolutely. If you need it, you need it. But I really believe in the holistic healing things of what we can do. And so, there's a lot. And so I will definitely talk to you. We'll get together and talk in Messenger or whatever, and I can try to help you. But it's looking and saying, okay, that they're going to look at the child and say, oh, well, this is what's going on. And then, oh, well, they have ADHD, anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. But they don't look at where it's coming from. They're looking at the signs and symptoms, but they're not looking at the root cause. Say this week after week after week. I loved my therapist. I would never talk bad about her by any means. And I will be recording the 5 things your therapist don't tell you. And this is huge. And one of the things is that, yep, my brain just went like, ooh.
Let me grab it over here and bring it back.
You need to, because now it's like, oh yeah, 5 things.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I hate when
5.
that happens. Yeah, but I was going to say something about, oh yeah, see, that's trauma brain happens, is that they work on the signs and symptoms. They don't work on the root cause. Now they might now, but when I did, they didn't. It was all the signs and symptoms. Oh, you have this, this, and this. Oh, you have anxiety, you have ADHD. They
Give
would
you some drugs.
They would give you medication and they would mask it, but where they didn't really get to the root cause. And so it was the same thing when, and why I'm saying this is this, even my son had a psychiatrist. We would go to Toledo. We'd have to drive almost 2 hours to Toledo to a children's hospital, to see his psychiatrist. And it was in that moment that we met him, and he said to my son, Josh, medication is just temporary. Until you're able to fix yourself, the medication is just it's like a temporary fix. You need to work on the tools and resources that I give you, because the medicine is going to outgrow you. Did I say that right?
No, you're going to outgrow.
You're going to, yeah, sorry. You're going to outgrow, huh?
Josh would outgrow the medicine.
Yes, sorry. And so our son started having like wonky side effects. And so I did take him off of it when I started realizing things, but it was in that moment. And so it's the same thing. Like even working with my own clients, like I don't tell them what to do. They asked me my opinion, and I said, well, this is what I do in my home. Not saying you need to follow routine, but this is what I do. And if medication is needed, absolutely. I'm not going to say, oh, no medication, because there are things that you need medication for. In my opinion, do I think our children are overly medicated? Absolutely, I do. Not my children, everybody's child. I think they're over medicated. If these children are given the tools and resources, and they're given a chance of being able to identify what the root cause is, you can actually heal ADHD. You can heal anxiety, depression. You know what it starts with? The gut. I think I did a video about that, but it's the gut, because that's where your serotonin and dopamine's made. So that gives you another little tidbit of information. But going back to bullying, I get off on these side tangents, so I apologize. But going back, just think about it. ADHD, anxiety, depression, mood disorders, ODD. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, because could these all be after effects of being bullied? Low self-esteem. I know that one. Low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-love. Those are all things that I believe children go through. And it's our job as parents to lift them up. Because now what's happening is that this is interesting, because I can tell my daughter, I have two daughters, and my 20-year-old, she doesn't have an issue with body image, self-image, self-love. Like that chick is like all about loving. And she would wear whatever, as long as she likes it. If I said to her, Anna, that outfit looks horrible on you, you shouldn't wear it, she'd be like, you're not the one wearing it, I am. That's how much confidence she has. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm just like, wow, okay.
I taught her that.
Yeah, well, hush.
Sometimes I regret it now. She's getting older. It's like, oh, no, don't wear that.
But what I love is I love that about her, because her self-love and her self-confidence and all that stuff is there. So hold on. Where I'm going with this is this. We can instill those principles into our kids like we did our daughter. But it's interesting, because even our 7-year-old, we can say to her, oh, Alexandria, you're beautiful, you're perfect, and this, and this. And all it takes is for one screwball to tell her she's fat and stinky. And everything that we just said to her goes out the window. And I can't figure out why those kids have a higher influence on them than we do.
Because they're peer.
Well, yes, that's where I was going, but I'm glad you said that. Yes. And that's why. It's hot in here. Holy crap. I think I need to open a window. But that's what it is. It's their peer. And so they're going to believe them over us. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. It's taken me a very long time from the things that I went through in my life to start really loving myself. If it wasn't for this one over here, like he tells me, oh, you're beautiful, Jean. And I'm like, yeah, get out of here. No, you really are. I'm like, yep, whatever. And that's because of the things that I've endured. Because I was always told, oh, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're worthless, never going to amount to anything. The whole list of, I wrote a book, but I could probably write a book about probably everything. Matter of fact, I did start writing a book. It's sitting in the house, and it's been sitting for probably, it's probably been sitting for about 5 years. Never touched it.
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't plan on finishing it. It's a hard yeah, I wouldn't finish it. I would finish it probably for myself, but I'd probably end up burning it. I don't need to remember that, and nobody needs to see that in depth into my world. So it's our job as parents to identify and to listen when kids are being bullied, and to realize that there's always, people always say there's two sides to a story, but realistically there's three: his, hers, and the truth, or hers, and the truth, his, and the truth, whatever. There's always three sides to every story. But what they need to do is to take into consideration, history, especially history of a bully, especially with what's going on, with my daughter. I'm saying with Lakin. I'm hoping I'm saying your name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. Those types of things. And then us as adults, there's still times that people bully us. There's still times that people gaslight us. And so what do? Do you tell them off? Like, as an adult, what do you do if you're bullied? Thank you. What do you do? Oh, I know you.
Just punch them in the mouth when they try to bully me.
Yeah.
I usually just throw out a few real nice cuss words, and they get the point real quick. They just said something to the wrong person.
Right. Yep. And I mean, in bullying, believe it or not, bullying or, it comes in all kinds of forms. Yep. See, yeah, tell them
right
off.
Right there with you, Leggett.
Yep.
I tell them off in a heartbeat. And if they don't shut up, well, they might get,
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's going back to, and that's what it is. And then it's like, man. And sometimes my impulse gets the best of me. I don't know. I'm learning to, like, I got fuzzies.
Mm-hmm.
It's the impulse. And then when a child has an impulse, how do you stop it? What do you think ADHD is? It's impulse driven. It's trigger driven. So as an adult, it's hard for us, those impulses. We talk about those all the time. So it's all impulse. It's impulse driven. We talk about this when you go gambling, when you're addicted to, well, some things that I don't want to mention here. My addiction to jewelry. There's all kinds of things. I mean, I'm sure some of you on here are addicted to fishing. There's quite a bit of you. No, I'm only kidding, but it's a good thing.
I call them drugs like it used to be.
But I just tease. But I would rather you be addicted to fishing, because that's nature, that's getting outdoors, that's doing a whole lot. So
I spend less money on fishing.
Yes, I know. But fishing's a good thing. But there's a lot of other addictions that are impulses. Fishing is not an impulse. Yeah, I mean, you can be impulsed and be ticked off and be impulsed to go fishing. Absolutely. Fishing doesn't cost you a dime because you've already spent all the money on buying everything. You're not addicted? Sure. Tell me something else. And then Michael, what's fishing? Well, I guess we'll probably have to have you on here so you can tell us exactly what fishing is in your own words. What is fishing? That's a good one.
You say you don't qualify because you know last name of Fox.
Well, that's all right. It's all right. We'll make you a fox for the day. It's okay. But yeah. So my heart goes out to to the families that, I mean, I guess both sides, but especially for the ones that are being bullied. Because there is an underlying issue and the parents just don't see it. And so again, it's, problems at home, whether there's a divorce, whether they're seeing domestic violence, what are they watching? What does their social media look like? And so, when there's an issue, you need to, be the parent. You can't be their friend. You have to be the parent. And so you need to be able to check their social media. You need to be able to see what they're listening to, what they're watching. We have a 12-year-old and he'll be in there listening to TikTok videos. And all of a sudden he's listening to a TikTok that throws out the F word. And I'm off the couch going, what are you listening to? We don't listen to that trash in the house. You know what he says to me? I just froze. We froze. Oh, okay. I was like, we froze for a minute. So, and so let me just say it again. So he'll be in there listening to TikTok videos, and all of a sudden one of the TikTok videos will throw out the F word. And I jump up and I'm like, look, Nick, you can't listen to that stuff. I can't stand that. You know what he tells me? So this is going to tell you right here that kids are going to know something. And so I say to him, Nick, you can't listen to that. And you know what he says to me? But Dad says that word.
Hey, it's my favorite word.
I'm like,
it gets the point across.
It does.
No matter the situation.
Yes. But I'm not saying anything bad about it. But what I'm saying is, see, I'm trying to explain to him that that's not appropriate. But because we live in a house divided, there's times I get angry. And yes, I do use cuss words. I'm not perfect. Even as a Christian, I'm not perfect. But it's interesting when I say those things to him, he's like, but Dad does it. What makes it different? So I tell him, you know what? Don't let Dad influence what you do. Be you. Don't let anybody influence your behavior. Don't let anybody influence. But I firmly believe that we as parents need to check into social media. What are our I was going to say parents. What are our children watching? What are they doing? Who are they listening to? What music are they listening to? What are they doing? Don't stop being naive. Stop sweeping things under the rug, because we are becoming part of the problem if we're doing that. We're not looking for change. That's not the word. We're not looking. I was going to say change. It wasn't change, but how are we going to be the cycle breakers and the change makers if we're the ones that are continuing? It has so many meanings. And so, it starts with us. We are the change makers.
Oh, when it comes to kids listening to music, remember, like the one song years ago, Momma, don't let your kids grow up to be cowboys or whatever. Don't let your kids grow up to be Swifties. Oh, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm. And, and I think that's the biggest thing is listening. Like I used to love rap. Okay. So I don't like rap music. I absolutely despise it. What I like is the beat. And so that's what I love is the beat. Yeah. So I would love the beat because I would like to dance to, I love dancing to the beat. And when I became a Christian and God opened my eyes to the music that I was listening to, I about fell over because I never listened to the lyrics. I was always just listening to the beat. And when I ever found out the lyrics and what was being instilled in me, I about fell over. I mean, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I like country music. But now I don't listen to it very often. My radio stays on K-Love, which is Christian, like pop, I guess, kind of, sort of, unless Charles gets in there and changes it. Other than that, it stays on K-Love. But every once in a while, especially when they're doing their raise the money-a-thon things, and like every 5 minutes they're asking for money, then I'll switch to like, I don't know, like Mix 103.3 or whatever. I don't even know whatever the channels are because I don't really know a lot of the music anymore because I listen to a lot of the Christian music now. But yeah, music influences us. And if you don't know what you're listening to, if you're just listening to the beat, sit down and really listen to the lyrics of the song, because I'm telling you what, it'll change everything. You're going to be like, holy mackerel, like, wow. And so it's the same things with what our kids are doing. Be in their life, be active. Don't just sit at the sidelines and go, oh, well, my kid's going to be this perfect human being. Oh, no. I've seen it happen with too many of my friends, with my friends as granddaughters, where, I see the patterns continuing. And there was a situation. And if it was ever my daughter, that situation would have never happened. That phone would have been taken and I would have been like looking. And so I look, I don't look so much on my 12-year-old's phone, but if I need to, I can. He leaves his phone when he gets up in the morning and goes to school. His phone sits right there on the desk. I know his passcode. I could, but I trust him enough that I don't need to go and look in there right now. Maybe in a couple years, I might have to, or maybe next year. Things change. You never know.
Maybe in a month. Maybe.
I mean,
ooh, girl this, ooh, girl that. Ooh,
you might. So but staying active and not being naive to the fact that our kids are subjected to grown adult stuff,
Be
content.
proactive, not inactive.
Yes. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And that's what it comes down to. Stop being your child's best friend. Be their parent. Yes. I think I have. Yes, I will. I think I have listened to that, but I will listen to it again if I have not. And so a lot of his music is very powerful. And so, and that's the thing, whether, the life that he had and turning it around. And that's what I don't think a lot of people realize is that, don't let where you come from define you. You can change. Absolutely. You can change. But so many people want to keep us in that ruminating thinking of we'll never change. We'll never amount to anything. And it took me a very long time to get out of that cycle of things, that I can do things. I can be better than what I was, or I can be better than my parents, or I can be better than this, than what people said I could be. And I'm already doing things that I never dreamed of, never thought I could ever do. Definitely. Yeah, that's the one that I know they always talk about. Yeah, his music is really, a lot of people really relate to his music. So do we have any questions? Any questions? Anything that you want covered, answered, anything like that? Anything like that? So again, I just think it goes back to, a bully can happen. They're everywhere. And, and looking at it and going, it's not that child. And I think that's okay. So let's just bring that up for a minute, because it's not always the child. The child, again, just didn't get this way overnight. And so it's looking at the family. But, when my daughter was bullied last year and we kept trying to tell them, it was like I know what it's like to have a manipulating narcissistic ex. I know what they do. I know how they manipulate the system and come in and talk all sweet and make you look like you're the demented one. Or, oh, nothing like that's happening in our home. We don't know where she's getting it from. I just didn't crawl from under a rock yesterday, and I'm really not that stupid. And that's one thing I can't stand. Don't try to sweet talk the situation and act like, oh, well, my daughter this or my daughter that one. In fact, that's not really the case anyway. Take accountability and say, okay, these are the things that are happening in my home, and we're going to try to make sure that those things don't happen in our home anymore. Or what can the school do to help? Or do they have resources available to help? Even the school psychologist now, the school psychologist does crap. I was going to say the other word, does crap. You know what the school psychologist, a lot of them do now? Now they have social workers. Social workers, don't get me on that subject. But anyway, school psychologists, you know what they do? They're there for testing now. A lot of them are there for testing. They're not even there for anything else but to test the student to see if they have ADHD or whatever else they have going on. That is the primary source of why a school psychologist is there. Social worker, they're more there for mental health, but unfortunately, they're not trauma informed. So they go to school to get their degree, usually their bachelor's or master's degree, and they go and they have no trauma informed training. So they don't know how to sit in a conversation and start a conversation with a little one without, starting to ask them 50 million questions. Well, that child has no idea. And so they're not trauma informed. They don't look at ADHD and all of these things that are happening. They don't look at the root cause either. They just look at the signs and symptoms. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you. And so it's just something that is, when I'm over, well, I shouldn't say I'm over, because I'm learning to, it's been, what was I, 11 years old in 5th grade? So
40 years almost.
So yeah, so it's been a long time. Yeah, I was going to say I was like 38 years. And so when you've lived that long and those things still bother you, But you know what? I'm just like, I'm wearing it. Like there's some things I'm looking, I'm going, yeah, no, never. But for the most part, yeah. But it's us again. It's us as parents to do our job to tell our kids, you're not that way. Don't listen to them, but take responsibility and accountability in helping our kids to see things from a different perspective. And things like that too, because it's just I was going to say, but our daughter is the most sweetest. God, she's so happy-go-lucky and she's so lovable. She is the sweetest. And I mean, I have 50 million notes that she writes me every day.
If you got Carol in here, she could tell you.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, she's writing me things every day. I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom. You're the best. Even on bad days, she comes over and she's like, oh, Mom, you're absolutely beautiful. Or even if, and obviously I'm just, crawling out of bed and my hair is a mess and I got drool stains all over me. And she's like, but Mom, and she'll say, oh, Mom, you're absolutely beautiful. And I was like, oh, this child, bless her heart. She must be telling the truth because I don't know. But but I'm always saying, oh, she's probably lying. But then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? She's pure. She doesn't know. She's telling me the truth. But she's very genuine. And so my friends, tell her she gives the best hugs. And if any of my friends were ever on here, they would tell you exactly how she is. She is the sweetest soul.
About Mercy.
The sweetest. Oh yeah. And Mercy.
Tell that story.
So, yeah. So I don't remember.
Mercy.
Yeah, I know. But what was it?
She called her Mercy instead of Marcy.
Yeah, because she liked her so much. Yeah, I don't remember, but all of my friends. But yeah, she. So I have one friend, Marcy, and she loves them all. But Marcy and Misty are like two of her favorites, and so she used to call Marcy Mercy. Where's my Mercy? Where's Mercy? I want to give Mercy a hug. And then she's never stayed anywhere before, and she was able to stay at Misty's house. And so, but she's just got a kind soul, and it just ticks me off that the school is not trauma informed. They're not trauma informed. And it seems like they don't care to be trauma informed. And until they are, this cycle is going to continue because, they can't pry into your private life. And I understand that. But if they would get trauma informed, they could look at the patterns and know that something has to be going on, that this child just didn't develop these skills overnight and say, oh, they're getting it. I'm not saying that it's from the home, but it's coming from somewhere. And social media is on a rampage right now. Social media is bad for kids. I mean, think about it. Look at all of are you on Facebook? If you're on Facebook, have you seen the advertisements for does your kid have like, I want to say mental issues, but I can't think of what it is, like mental challenges and this and this and this from video game addiction or not video game, but social media addiction. What does that tell you? It's because kids are not getting outside like they used to. Kids aren't getting outside like they're used to, and they're staying in on social media and they're staying in and doing nothing. So kids are becoming bored. I'm one of those parents. Get out. If it's nice out, go out. If I'm outside and it's 100 degrees, you bet your sweet baby Rays, you're going outside with me. My daughter will say, it's too hot out here. You know what? That's fine. So I get it. I get on there, but I'm really only on there because that's one of the platforms I use for my business. So I use one of 4, I believe it is. And that's one of them. And so, getting outside, and that's, I was just going to say, getting outside, make memories, one cast at a time.
That's great.
I know. That was just stuck in my head because he says it all the time. Get outside and make memories. But that's what it's all about. It's getting outside, getting them away from all of that. And so my son and I, my 12-year-old, he does play a lot of video games because in the wintertime, there's really nothing to do. I don't want to sit outside for 20 minutes in the freezing cold, throwing a football back and forth with him. But then I'm like, and then I kind of feel guilty. I'm like, maybe we should. But it's been raining, so we haven't been able to. But really getting outside with them and doing things, really ingraining and imprinting all of that positivity back into them. When they come home and they tell you they're being bullied, one of the first things that you need to tell them, it's not their fault. Um, oh, yep. Well, if you remember, do you remember the email? Because they could always send you a thing and you can always change it through your email. But I'm just, so those are things, like looking and really telling them that it's not their fault. Really expressing to them that what their bully is saying is coming down and saying hurt people hurt people. A 7-year-old sometimes can't identify, their feelings and emotions. So maybe getting an emotion wheel that has faces instead of words. And I remember, I think it was last year or the year before, might have been last year. I was actually going to do an after-school program for kids that had anxiety, and teach them techniques and things like that. And the school shot it down. And so they told me that they had breath work and something else in place. And so I said, well, how long is your breath work? Well, we did like a 2-week class. No, because breath work, little do they realize that breath work can actually activate something different. So it can make you more hyper than it does calm you down. And so, in that sense, that's why you need to have a fully trained facilitator lead a breathwork session, not just a 2-week session. That doesn't cut it. And so again, just reiterating to your child, how much they mean to you, build them up, get them to a place of learning to ignore what their bully says. That was the thing with Alex too. Alex would go back and forth with her bully, and that's just a part of her defiant. She does it to us. Finally, I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm arguing with a 7-year-old, like, hello. Maybe that's my inner child trying to argue back, but I'm just like, I'm done. So I finally tell her, you know what, Alex, I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm done. And then she's done. But it was the same thing in school. So when you can let them know that, what, if she, and it's easier said than done. But you know what, try to ignore her or him, ignore them. And, at that age, it is hard. It's hard because I see it. I mean, we have 2 kids. Well, we have 5, but of the two youngest, they fight like cats and dogs. And so Nick will start with Alex, and then Alex will get angry, and then, and then Nick won't start for a few days, and then Alex starts, and I'm like, oh dear golly, you 2 are like nuts. So I get it, because I tell her all the time, ignore him. I can't ignore him. I say, yeah, you can. No, he drives me nuts. I was like, you're both driving me bananas. I'm going to be in the loony bin before long. But I don't want to keep you too long. We started later, so we're at 10 o'clock. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and stuff like that. You know how to get in touch with me. You can, email me. You can Facebook message me. I just, this is just a subject that's near and dear to my heart. And I know it's just not my daughter. It's not Lakin's daughter as well. There's more kids in the school that are being bullied. And I know there are others of my friends and stuff like that. They're kids that are being bullied as well. And so it's going to be looking at, how can we reach the schools and come to something to help them understand, like, this isn't healthy. This is more and stuff. But in the meantime, just make sure that you are instilling those positivity things into your children and really being the role model because it starts with us. Again, it's, yes, they're in school for 8 hours a day, but sometimes they don't have the best role models. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but teachers, when I went to school, are definitely different than teachers now. And I think part of the reason is I live in a small town. And this is one thing that's funny because I'll never forget this. This is kind of off topic, but it's kind of funny. When I went to school, you didn't see your teachers. So like summer break, because Weymouth, where I lived in Massachusetts was a huge town. So you didn't see your teachers out. Like, it was very, very rare that you seen your teachers out. But I remember we went to the pool one year and Nick turned around and said, I cannot believe that I see my teacher and she's in a bikini, because we live in such a small area. But you would have never. So it's just interesting how times have changed. But then another time is there was another teacher, and I know people cuss. Like, I'm not here to judge. I know people cuss, but this, like, and her daughter was practicing maneuverability, and it's behind our house at the church, and Charles was fishing. And the mother is a teacher at our local school and started screaming and hollering. The F-bomb was flying. And I was just like, wow, because, you know, we don't see them. We don't see that in them. We see different things. But there's some teachers that my kids have had that have been, they have been big bullies, teachers. And then some of their teachers have been phenomenal. There's one teacher that my kids have had and absolutely loved her. The three youngest. Is that right? Three middle, youngest, oldest.
The three middle.
You know what I mean? Not the youngest, but the three above. They all had her, and she was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. My youngest would have had her, but she moved classes. But anyway, it really starts at home. Starts in really diving in to see what's happening in school. Don't be afraid to message your teacher or their teacher and ask them, like, you know, or, you know, say, hey, I want to know what's going on with my child, or ask your child, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, staying active, being active and proactive in their life, and really looking at a lot of the social media, because again, it boils down to the fake facade of what's going on. Kids can't wrap their brains around exactly what's happening. And so they go into, you know, wishing that they had everything that they see on social media when it's really just fake. A lot of it is fake. It's a fake facade. A lot of it is to get likes because they're paid. So they're just going to throw content out there as much as they can. And so it's not realistic. So again, you know, we've been a little bit over an hour. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Next week, I think that's the week of Christmas Eve, right? Wait, where are we? Oh, no, it's 23rd. Not. Oh, that is the 23rd. Okay. That's the 23rd already.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. I probably, we might just hop on and just do kind of like a chit chat type thing. Check in with everybody, seeing how everybody is leading up to the holidays. Like we've been doing today was just something when my daughter came home, you know, last few days and said that she's being bullied, and, you know, it just drives me bananas. So it's just something that I wanted to get on here and do. But Monday, I will probably just get on and it'll just be us just chit chatting. What are we doing for the holidays? How are you going to get through the holidays?
I wish you a Merry Christmas.
And yeah, well, yeah.
And Happy New Year.
And all of that stuff. But you know how to reach me. You can go on YouTube and get on my emails there. If you're on Facebook, you can find me, and you can message me there. Anything that I can do to help. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next. I need to have like an ending slogan. But here, I do want to throw this up here really quick. I created this. I thought this was pretty cool. I created this. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So we're having a lot of you know, but I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. Rise Up from Trauma. It's a mental health, and it's a trauma and mental health conference, February 21st and 22nd. Tickets right now for everybody, they're $149. We have payment plans, but you can go to riseupfromtrauma.com. It shows you all the speakers, the pre-conference sessions. I'm doing 4 or 5. I think I'm doing 7 sessions for this conference. I'm doing 4 drawing sessions and 3 and 3 breakouts. So we would love to have you. A lot of education going to be shared. It's for trauma survivors by trauma survivors. It's one of the, I'm going to say it's the first. It's the first conference that all of the speakers are trauma survivors of some degree, whether it's childhood, adult, domestic violence, relationships. You know, we're all trauma survivors on some aspect, some level. And so that's huge coming into it. We're not only bringing in the neuroscience and neurobiology, but we are, I don't even know, I was like, how do I get that off there? But we're also bringing in our life experiences. And so we have the research and the neuroscience and the neurobiology to back up exactly what our life experiences tell us, the after effects and all of that good stuff. So thank you again, everyone. Have a good night and a good rest of the week and a good weekend. I know the weekend, you know, it'll be here before you know it. And we will see you again next Monday. See you guys. I need to come up with an ending, like an ending thing. Think of something for me. Bye, guys.